So, in a recent video, I showed you how to create a twink to level up to 4 characters from 10 to 60 in as little as 3 hours. That video was very well received, but some expressed reservations about the complexity of the methods and the amount of effort involved in setting everything up. So in this video, I thought I'd look at some methods which are faster, easier, and or only require one paid account. Now this video is all about using a twink to level boost your alts. If you don't want to do that, then there's a fantastic one-click exploit to level up to 70. You can literally get all the way up to 70 just pressing one button in about the same time or less than you would questing. Blizzard is going to fix that one as soon as they find out about it, so I'm keeping it private on my Patreon for now. Right, that's the ad over. So let's start with level 20 free-to-play twinking. Now why the focus on level 20? Because it gives us the perfect way to lock experience on our twink without using any sophisticated or complex exploits. And because it's free, we don't need to pay for additional accounts. Free-to-play level 20 characters have their experience locked automatically, as this is the maximum level a free-to-play starter edition account can reach. This is different from level 10 twinks who voluntarily lock experience. No one receives a penalty for being in a group with a free-to-play level 20, as they do with a level 10. So you can just enter or queue up for a dungeon with an alt or someone you want to boost with no waiting around to be put in the same queue or other tricks necessary to avoid the locked XP penalty. This saves a huge amount of time. Could there be such a simple way to level up your alts super fast? Let's find out. Gearing up a level 20 twink is very simple. They don't have access to gems and enchants characters on paid accounts do, so the solo focus is on gear with a high eye level, which means Warlords of Draenor dungeons. These drop rare eye level 87 items from bosses. Simply go into Kroby time and select the Iron Horde option and queue for the same 3 Warlords of Draenor dungeons repeatedly. Now you can just keep doing that, but there's a trick you can use here to do this much faster. You can have 2 World of Warcraft accounts active on your Battle.net at the same time. In this case your paid account and your free starter edition account, so you can have 2 characters in the game at once. Run one of the dungeons with your main level 70 character, put your twink on follow and just have them follow the level 70 through the dungeon as your main character one-shots everything, and you just stop to loot every boss. Keep doing this until your twink is powerful enough to level dungeons on their own. This will be around eye level 70 to 75. Though it depends greatly on the class and the spec of the character. You'll want to start soloing dungeons as soon as is practically possible, for the reason that every boss will then drop loot appropriate for. Now, the reason we use twinks in dungeons is to run through them very fast. The scaling for low-level twinks is broken. The lower your level, the more powerful you are, the opposite of what you might expect. We know level 10s are very powerful, but what about level 20s? Surprisingly, there is very little information on this, and almost all of it is about PvP rather than player versus environment. So I spent a long time testing this myself, repeatedly running dungeons for over a week of full-time play. To cut a long story short, level 20s are completely viable for soloing dungeons. They aren't quite as broken as level 10s, but it isn't that far off. This character has eye level 78. The maximum possible eye level for a 20 is 87, so this character is strong but not quite best in slot. It'll take you about 5 to 10 hours to get to this eye level. And as you can see here, the character can level Hellfire Citadel pretty comfortably. If you want to gear up to 87, your character will be a beast, but the time taken to gear up that high gets into diminishing returns for a lot of extra effort. Now, level 10 twinks can level multiple characters from 10 to 60 in as little as 3 hours. A level 20, however, will take a little longer, maybe 1 to 2 hours longer. But you don't have to do any waiting around for simultaneous queues to pop or any other nonsense. It is very straightforward. I suspect for the vast majority of casual players, level 20s will be slightly faster in practice than level 10s. You have to be very competent to really make the power advantage of a level 10 twink work for you, given the additional challenges posed by the experience debuff. Now, I just want to briefly cover some other powerful twink methods that I haven't mentioned already. The YouTuber Zanzaful made a really interesting observation. Some of you may well know this YouTuber already, as he's created some very interesting, unique content on his channel that's well worth checking out, including a powerful 5-man method to bypass the locked experience debuff. Zanzaful made this comment on my previous twinking video, stating that level 10 Mistweaver monks with the lifesteal enchant made for the best level 10 combination. And now, this isn't exactly unknown to the twink community. I had a sort of vague awareness of it, but I'd never properly tested it. I tried this out, and bloody hell is he right. I've tested a freshly made level 10 monk with heirlooms and tried it on the stockades. You can solo the whole dungeon apart from Hogger himself by simply pressing one key. There's this amazing synergy between the lifesteal and spinning crane kick. So I realised we can use an interesting approach here. Enchant our heirlooms and just keep creating level 10 Mistweavers and use them to level our alts or boost other people. Don't lock experience on the Mistweavers, just keep creating new ones after they hit level 15 or so. It literally only takes minutes to do this each time. Finally, there's a trick I've never seen published elsewhere. It is simply to take a character somewhere where you can get a superpowered buff from the open world and take it into a dungeon, thereby removing the need for special gear. There is quite a few of these special buffs, and I've kept most of them secret on my Patreon, as it is really easy for Blizz to fix them if they go public. But like a degenerate crack dealer, I am going to give you the first one for free. This one is in the Blood Elf starting area. Kill these mobs and there is a good chance you'll get this buff, which scales poorly and allows the player to one-shot any mob in any dungeon at low level. With heirlooms, the character I'm using in this video just has starter gear, and even then she can two-shot pretty much anything. This works spectacularly well for the 2-minute duration of the buff. There's just one problem, and that's the buff duration itself, since most dungeons take longer to get through than 2 minutes. So you'll need to use it with a dungeon with limited travelling time, or one where you get ported to later stages of the dungeon when you teleport in and out. As I'm demonstrating here in Tol Dagor, porting out every time a boss is killed, getting the buff off the elemental mobs, and returning to the dungeon.